Okay, we're ready.
Ready? Alrighty.
Microphone check. 1 2 1 2.
Good here.
Okay.
Welcome to Boxing Capital, boxing business and everything behind the punches. I'm Tay, and as you see, our my boisterous co-host Sammy is not here. He's visiting a family out in Africa, so we're wishing him safe travels and a grand old time. But we have a very special guest, the legendary Buddy McGirt. Buddy has had an illustrious career on both sides of the ropes. He has, in the ring, he has 80 fights, right?
Yes.
Yes, 80 fights, 2 world titles. And after a significant career in the ring, he's transitioned to be one of the most well respected and successful trainers in the game, being in the corner of some of the most legendary fighters and some of the most legendary fights in boxing history. And it's obviously led him to be a Boxing Hall of Fame inductee. So we're really excited to have him here to talk about his journey, any insights and wisdom he may have, and just talk boxing and chop it up with the legendary Buddy McGirt. So,
How you doing, Tay? Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
yeah, I'm glad to finally meet you because we were just talking. We
Yes.
have a mutual connection with a young up and coming fighter. So I've heard a lot about you through the grapevine. So it's been really nice to run into you out here in California and chop it up.
Of all places,
I know,
California, right?
I know. But you live in Florida now.
I
I'm
live in
from
Florida,
Florida.
yes.
So yeah, of all places we run into
And you
each other.
from New Orleans.
I'm from Florida. I'm from
You
Florida.
from Florida?
Yeah.
Where?
I'm from South Florida. Miami,
Where?
Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, you,
Yeah.
oh, Florida. Okay, all right. I live in Vero Beach.
Okay, yeah.
From New York.
Yes.
I left New
From New
York,
Jersey.
moved to Vero Beach.
Yeah, so usually we just start off with just like, telling us about your boxing journey. So we can start from the beginning, right? Because you have
Wow.
yeah, you have quite a journey, huh? So
Listen,
I want to know what inspired you to put on the gloves in the first place. Get in the
okay,
ring.
I'm going to be 1000% honest with you.
Yeah.
As a kid, I always wanted to do something with my life. As a kid, as a youngster, I'm like, yo, I got to do something with my life, And my mom was a single parent with 6 kids,
Wow.
5 boys, 1 girl.
Where were
I'm
you
like,
in that?
I was number 4,
Okay.
so which means I was the
The
middle.
middle, yeah.
So which means a lot of responsibility was put on my shoulders at a very young age.
Right.
But I just always wanted to do something. So I tried football as a kid.
Mm.
And it's no secret to anybody in the whole world that I got a big ass head. I got a big head. And when I played Little League football, no lie, I played for the Brentwood BYA. They had trouble finding a helmet to fit my head. Why are you laughing?
It's fun.
Okay. So now imagine this head with an afro. I had an afro back then. This was
Like this, yeah.
1975, 76. So I played that for a little while. And then one day there's a place in my neighborhood called the Brentwood Recreation Center.
Mm.
And the Brentwood Recreation Center back in 76 had weightlifting, ping pong, and upstairs they played basketball. And downstairs where they had the weightlifting, they had boxing, but it was only professional boxers.
Mm.
And one day, a friend of mine, this kid named Gabriel from Regis Park, he said to the trainer, his name is Gene Moore. He
Mhm.
says, "When are you gonna have boxing for kids?" And he says, "Next week, January 17th. But you got to be 12 years old."
Mm.
Guess what? January 17th was my 12th birthday.
Oh, perfect fate, right?
Yeah, so I said, "Wow." So I went home. I said, "Ma, there's boxing next week. January 17th. I want to box." And my mother said, "What time?" I said, 12 o'clock. And I was raised Catholic.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And back then, I had to go to religion on Saturday mornings
Right.
from 10 to 11. My mother says, "I don't give a damn what time they start. You got to go to religion first.
Mm.
Then you can go." So I walked to religion to the church is called St. Anne's Catholic Church. I did my religion that day. Then I walked to the boxing gym and I waited there till 12 o'clock. And I joined boxing and the rest is history.
Mm. That's incredible. January 17th, the
Yes.
day you turn 12 and you could start boxing.
1976.
Wow.
Don't tell nobody that.
Wow.
That means I'm 60 years old. So,
Yeah. So, I mean, but not everybody tries boxing and sticks with it. I'm kind of in that boat, especially
I just
more so on the. Go ahead.
I had a cousin who was boxing, and every time we went to my uncle's house in New Jersey, he would always be bragging about my cousin. And I'm like, hold up, man.
Mhm.
I had to give my mom something to brag about.
Right.
That was just my way of thinking. I got to give my mom something. He's always bragging about my cousin. He had all these trophies. My cousin went to Muhammad Ali's camp in Pennsylvania, sparred with Muhammad Ali.
Wow.
So I was like, wow. I'm like, you know what? I got to do so. I got to make my mom proud somehow, some way.
Right.
I mean, and boxing was that way. And and once I started, it was like a drug. I fell in love with it, and here I am now.
Yeah. Wow. So what was your transition like, I guess, from amateur to pros,
It's
making that
it's
jump?
it wasn't that bad. It was I was gonna wait for the Olympics, the '84 Olympics,
Okay.
and then my father passed away,
Mm.
and I had a kid on the way,
Mm.
and I was still in high school.
Right.
So I said, okay, we can't wait till '84. We gotta make money now.
Right.
So I thought if I turned pro when I was 18, that I'd make a lot of money,
Hmm.
but that wasn't the case.
Right. Right.
So I turned pro in 1982. I was in high school when I turned pro.
Hmm.
And my first fight, I got $200,
Mm. That's yeah.
and $150 of that went to Pampers and formula for
Right.
my son.
Right.
So it was a hard challenge. It was a hard not challenge. Let me rephrase that. It was a hard road, but a very good learning experience for me,
Right.
and
Right.
responsibility because I had to make so many sacrifices. It's like my second pro fight, I got $675.
Mm.
I'm thinking, wow, I got a lot of money. But my mother said, you got to buy Pampers.
You're right.
You got to buy formula.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
You have a lot of responsibilities at a young age, so
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
this it's not going. The
So
money's
I
not
was
going
like,
nowhere.
so what I did, I went to my prom. My prom was a week after my second pro fight.
Wow.
So I went to the bank and I got $50 worth of the singles.
Hmm.
And I wrapped the 20s around the singles. Then I put 100 on the end to make it seem like I
Yeah.
had a knot.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a knot, but I was faking the funk,
Right.
faking it till you make it.
Right.
But it was what it was, and it was a great learning experience for me.
Were you working another job on
No,
top of training? You
I'm
just
I'm gonna tell you my schedule.
yeah.
I turned pro, so I was still in high school. So my eighth period teacher, his name was Scott Emmerdorf. He was my shop teacher. He would let me out of class early. I would catch the 12:27 train. I had to travel from Long Island to Hoboken, New Jersey
Oh wow.
by train, which took me 2.5 to 3 hours every day if the trains were on
Oh,
schedule.
right.
So I would take the train. I would take the 12:27 train. I get to the gym by 3:30. I train, and then boom, catch the PATH train back to Manhattan. Then catch Long Island Railroad back to Brentwood. I get home 8:30, 9 o'clock every night. And that
Wow.
was my schedule from 1982 to 1987.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. No, it is because I think a lot of fighters, even in this day and age, like you see the Canelos and like the Anthony Joshuas and these people making millions and millions of dollars, but people don't think about, being in the trenches like you were, and these guys started that way too, making,
Yes.
hundreds of bucks to fight and really making incredible sacrifices just to get to where they're at. It's a long, hard journey,
You
particularly.
know what kills me today is that a fighter say, "Oh man, I gotta drive an hour." I'm like, "Are you serious right now?" I'm like, I used to travel 3.5 hours, and living in New York in the wintertime, if it snowed heavy,
Right,
it could take me 4 to 5 hours to get to the gym.
right.
But I made sure I got there.
Mm,
And I would stop at payphones because there was no cell phones, no beepers. I would stop at a payphone and call my trainer and say, "Look, I'm gonna be delayed." And my trainer says, "I'm here, kid. Don't worry."
mhm.
And then once I got to Hoboken, I had to walk to the gym, which is like a half a mile. But then we changed the gym to Jersey City. So I had to catch the path train to Journal Square, and it was like a mile walk
Wow.
to Bafano's gym.
Yeah.
And I did that rain, sleet, or snow 6 days a week from 1982 to 1986. In 1986, I started making enough money where I could stay in a hotel the last 2 weeks of training camp.
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, listen, I mean, if I had to do it all over again, I'd do it the same way because it taught me a lot. I learned a lot, and I met a lot of people, and I just saw how life really was. Because growing up in Long Island, in my neighborhood, everything was right there. Everybody worked in the neighborhood.
Right.
So when you got a chance to get out, and like when I was to go to the Manhattan, I used to see people on the train with sneakers. Like they have on a suit with sneakers, and then I figured out why. Because when they got to the Penn Station, they had to run to catch the damn subway,
Yeah.
and they have their shoes in the bag. I see them at night. I was like, "Yo, I saw you earlier with sneakers." They say, "Yo, buddy, we had to run to catch the subway."
Yeah.
So it taught me a lot. And like I said, if I had to do it over again, I'd do it the same way. I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. What was the fight that you think kind of propelled you, I guess, into the upper echelon
Wow.
of boxing?
The, wow. My first real test, I fought a guy named Alan Braswell, May 25th, 1985.
Mm.
He didn't have a winning record, but he was a guy that scored upsets.
Mm.
And I beat him 8 out of 10 rounds. And I think that put me over the hump a little bit. But in reality, my opinion, the fight that really put me there was after my first loss.
Mm.
Like my first loss was to Frankie Warren in 1986. And I was undefeated. I was 30-0 and I had like 27, 28 knockouts. And it was on NBC and I lost.
Mm.
And when I lost, after the fight, we came out of the dressing room and everybody was getting in the limo. And I says, "I'm going to walk back to the hotel."
Mm.
My manager said, "What?" I said, "I'm going to walk back." It was like a mile walk. I said, "I'm going to walk to the hotel." He goes, "Why?" I said, "I need to be alone." And I walked down. We stayed by the water in Corpus Christi. I remember that like it was yesterday. And I walked to the hotel. And when I got to the hotel, my manager was standing outside waiting. He said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, but I need you to do me a favor." He said, "What?" I said, "I need you to give me a fight."
Mm.
And he's like, "What?" I said, "I can't live long with this loss hanging over me."
Right.
I said, "So I need a fight." Now, this was in July. My next fight was 2 months later.
Mm.
And I fought a former champ in Sao Mambi. And everybody said to me, "Are you nuts? You fighting a former champion on your first fight back after a loss?" So I got to see where I'm at. I beat him, and that put me right back on the map.
Right. Yeah. Take us through kind of like the mental fortitude or the psyche of you after experiencing your first loss, particularly after.
You can't really explain it
Yeah.
because 1,000 things go through your head.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to say to yourself, let's just face reality.
Right.
Could you have won this fight? Yeah. But you didn't win the fight. Why?
Mm-hmm.
So the key was to answer that question, why?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't win the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And because in the fight, for the first 5 rounds, I did absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But then the 6th round, I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my first time on the big stage,
Right.
like national TV. I was on NBC,
Yeah.
Sports World. But it was too late.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to myself, "Okay, buddy, if you're going to continue this and get to the next level, this is what you got to do."
Right.
So I put it in my head. And then a year and a half later, I got the rematch with him.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it was for the world title.
Mm.
So my whole mental capacity was totally different at
Right.
that point in time.
Right. Yeah. You got the revenge, huh?
Yes, I got the revenge,
Yeah.
yes. It wasn't easy, though.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I still have nightmares about him, and we're in 2024,
Yeah.
and this was in 1988.
Wow.
I still have nightmares about this guy because he was that guy that would
Yeah.
he take it. You know, it's funny. I tell every young fighter today that wants to be a fighter, go watch the Thriller in Manila with Ali Frazier,
Mm-hmm.
and not because of this of just because it's Ali Frazier.
Right.
Because at that point in time, they was considered past their career.
Mm-hmm.
But watch the skill, but more importantly, the will
Mm-hmm.
in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because Ali said something in that fight that I really couldn't relate to.
Mm-hmm.
And Ali said that he had to go somewhere mentally that he's never been before.
Mm.
He said he was knocking on death's door, he felt like. You know what I mean? And not too many fighters will admit that, yo, I was there, man.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go somewhere mentally that it may take you 2 or 3 days to come down.
Right.
And I was there when I won my first world title.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I won it. I remember like it was yesterday. But one thing I do remember is that when I got back home to New York, it took me like 3 days to come down from that. I was like in a zone that people were talking to me. I was listening to them, but I didn't hear them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a zone that you go to, and a lot of fighters like, oh man, I never had to go to that zone. No, you will go there one day.
Yeah. And that was the fight for you.
Yes, if you fight that right guy, you will go there one day.
Right.
But once you go there and you succeed, then you know the next time you go there, you know how to handle it.
Right. So how would you now, going through that failure and your experience in the ring, how would you define success, and how is boxing kind of made your definition of success evolve in the ring and out in life?
You know, I you know, how can I put this here? My whole thing in life and boxing, and I may get a little emotional, so excuse me if I do.
Oh, please, yes, of course.
Um, I love boxing, and I still love boxing, and always will love boxing. But as a kid growing up, my main goal was to make my mother happy,
Mm,
make my mother proud.
mm,
But more importantly, my main goal was to take care of my mom because
mm,
I seen my mom struggle with us.
right.
And even though we had a stepdad,
Mm-hmm.
my mom still struggled with us. You,
Yeah.
you, you understand? So, um, one time when I was like 9 years old, and there's a store like here in California, you got Ralph's.
Mm-hmm.
In New York, it was a store called Pathmark,
Mm-hmm.
and in Hills, but Hills is gone. But we was in Pathmark one day, and my brother had a field trip, and my mom went to buy him stuff for the field trip, and she said, "Bud, my real nickname is Bud,
Mm-hmm.
Little Bud, not Buddy.
Yeah.
My real nickname is Little Bud. Like everybody calls me Little Bud back home." She goes, "Come with me to the store." So I went with my mother to the store, and she got the stuff from my brother, and my mom bought herself some bra and panties.
Mm,
I mean, so we get to the cash register, and they run it through, and they tell my mother, say, $10. My mother only had $8.
mm-hmm.
They said, well, you got to put something back, miss. So my mom put back her bra and panties,
Mm-hmm.
bought my brother stuff, went home, washed her bra and panties out in the bathroom and hung them up in the bathroom. And I saw that and I was like, this ain't right.
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I was like, damn, my mom made this sacrifice for us,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So when I won my first world title in 1988,
Mm-hmm.
I went to a store called J.C. Penney's,
Mm-hmm.
which is like Neiman and Marcus now. But back in the
Yeah.
80s, and I spent 2 grand on bra and panties for my mom.
Oh, wow.
And I went home, and she was asleep, and I threw the bag in the bed. And my mom said, "What the hell is this, boy? You know I gotta go to work tonight. What the?" I said, "Just open the bag, ma." And she opened it, and there was all these bra and panties. She said, "Boy, what the hell? What am I supposed to do with all these? I said, Ma, you can change them every hour if you have to. And she said to me, why are you buying me this?
Mhm.
And I told her the story that I remembered.
Mhm.
And she looked at me and she started crying. She like, you remember that? I said, Ma, I remember all the struggles.
Mm.
I tell my mom, I remember all the struggles you went through and sacrifices you went through for us. I watched it. I mean, I never said anything,
Mhm.
but I watched it. So I said to myself, no, I got to do this for my mom.
Mm.
So when I became champ, yes, I went through my money. I'd be the first to admit it. But every other year, I made sure my mother had a new car.
Mm.
I didn't give a shit about nobody else.
Yeah.
My mom had a new car. I got a signing bonus from Madison Square Garden in 1990 for 300,000. I gave my mother 100,000. I said, take this and do whatever the hell you want to do with it. And she said, well, what about the taxes on it? I said, I'll deal with it later.
Mhm.
Right now, you go enjoy life.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was my thing, was because I seen her, sacrifice for us for so many years. I'm just like, yo, I can't. I'm in a position now where I can take care of her.
Right.
I mean,
Mm.
and one of the greatest things of my career. Now, a lot of you people might not get this now, but the greatest part of my career was watching my mother enjoy and celebrate my success.
Mm.
Make sense?
Yes. Full circle because, as you said, your biggest motivation for starting is making sure your mom was proud of you.
That
And
was
yeah.
that was my main thing. Was I used to sit back and watch her. People come over to see me and sit back and watch my mom. So my mom drinks Schaefer beer. She have a Schaefer in her hand talking, and I'll sit back and just watch. And I'd be like, okay, and I'll sneak out the back door.
Mm-hmm.
That was my. I love that part,
Right.
to watch her enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love the fact that when she go to a store, if there was a long line, they say that's Buddy McGirt's mother, and they put her up front of the line.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was more gratifying to me than anything in the world.
Right. That's amazing.
All
Making your
right.
mama proud, right?
Yeah, that
That's
my
huge.
girl. That's my
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So take us to your last fight, in the ring, I guess. You know, at some point you had to hang it up. Why then? And and well, just I'm always
Here's
curious to know like when and why fighters
okay. I'm gonna be honest with you.
retire.
As a professional athlete, and a lot of athletes might admit it, and some might not admit it. We're the first ones to know
Mm-hmm.
that it's over,
Right.
but the last ones to admit
Mm-hmm.
that it's over.
Right.
I mean, and my last fight, when I lost to an ex sparring partner.
Mm. So you're gonna
That's
do.
hello.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
he didn't hit me much,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't hit him at all because my mind said throw the punch. But by the time I threw the
Yeah.
punch, we was in the next round already. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Reality set in. But to be honest with you, I lost the fire
Mm.
in 1994.
Mm-hmm.
No, I got injured in 1992, and then I had two fights, and I had my surgery in '93. And within that year, from '93 to '94, they told me I'll never fight again. Doctor says your career's over.
Wow.
I'm like, no, I got to prove these guys wrong. And I came back, and within 1 year, see, I'm gonna name the guys I fought: Nick Rooper, James Hughes, Livingston Bramble, um, Kevin Pompey, Pat Coleman, Panoa. I had 6 fights in 1 year. One
Wow.
year, 6 fights.
Wow.
Today, these guys have 6 fights in 3 years.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had 6 fights in 1 year, and I got the rematch with Pernell. But before that, I fought a kid named Pat Coleman in August,
Mm.
and they says, you got the rematch with Pernell. I was sitting in the dressing room. When they told me that, I started crying. And my wife said, what's wrong? I said, I don't want to fight no more.
Mm.
She's like, what? I said, I'm done. I don't want to fight no more.
Wow.
And she said, well, what are you going to do? I said, no, I'm done. I'm not going to fight the rematch. They told me I got it. This was in August. Rematch was set for October.
Mm-hmm.
I says, I'm not going to do it. I get home and I'm trying to figure in my mind now how I'm gonna call my managers and say, yo, I'm done. But then 2 days later, I got a letter from the IRS.
Oh wow.
Shit like a notebook. That shit was like this. So I said, oh shit. And they said, Mr. McGirt, you owe us $300,000.
Wow.
Hello? I said, man. So I said, I got to take the fight.
Right.
Did I want to take the fight? No.
Mm,
Did I train like I should have for the fight? No.
mm,
But I will say this on the benefit of Pernell. Would it have made a difference? We don't know.
mm.
But I know in my heart that I just went through the motions.
Yeah.
Because every day I had that big ass notebook that they sent me sitting on the dresser,
Mm-hmm.
looking at me saying, some of your purses. I had to pay 300,000 plus I had to pay tax on the money that I just earned in the fight.
Right. Wow.
So basically, I was
Yeah.
coming home with what? Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's hard to get motivated for.
Right.
So I just went through the motions,
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, not take nothing away from Pernell. He did what he's supposed to do that night. He
Mm-hmm.
handled his business. God bless him. May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the result probably would have been the same whether I got that letter or not. But my at that time, my mental state of mind just was like, I'm not focusing on the fight.
Right.
I don't want to do this anymore. I was done
Mm-hmm.
because when I got injured in '92, before the first Pernell fight, the doctors told me I was okay. I had tendonitis. I had this. I had that. The night before the fight, they gave me a shot in my arm, a cortisone. But then after the fight, HBO, a guy named Ross Greenberg, may he rest in peace, called me and said, go see this doctor. When I went to see that doctor, he said to me, your rotator cuff is gone. And he looked at the old MRIs. He goes, they misdiagnosed you.
Wow.
And then I found out later that they knew it. And my manager knew it because the doctors told him the kid is done. His career is over. This was in '93 now after the
Yeah.
first fight. So when I found that out that they misdiagnosed me, I was like, wow, I blew a $16 million contract with HBO.
Wow.
So I got a lawsuit and I went and gave my deposition and I was good. And my lawyer said to me, your manager gets his deposition next week.
Mm.
He goes, if your manager tells the truth, you'll be $20 million richer.
Mm-hmm.
My manager went in, he went against me.
Wow. Wow. That's insane.
They didn't want to see me get that money.
Wow. Why not? Like, wouldn't he be getting a cut of it?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what he said to me in 2003. He said, I had to go against your kid because the mob threatened to kill me. Because
Wow.
the doctor, his family was in the mafia. And my manager said they threatened to kill me. I said, bullshit. Doctors have insurance to cover lawsuits.
Mm-hmm.
But when I gave my deposition, my lawyer said, the opposing doctor's lawyer looked at me and says, you got us, kid.
Wow.
But that's water under the bridge. I mean, it is what it is. Ain't nothing we can do about it.
Yeah.
Everybody's dead now. They all dead now. God may they rest in peace. But at the end of the day, I said that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I retired. Then I came back, and when I made my comeback, one day I was in Colorado Springs training for a fight, and I was jogging around the lake in Colorado Springs, and I stopped. And my friend said, "What are you doing?" I says, "I'm going home."
Mm.
He goes, "What?" I said, "I'm going home, man. I'm not gonna fight." He goes, "Yo, you can use that 100 grand." I said, "Yeah, you're right, I can." I said, "There's only one problem." He said, "What?" I said, "Fire's not there no more."
Mm.
He goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Look, It's 8:30. He goes, yeah. I says, at this time, normally, the old Buddy McGirt will be finishing breakfast at 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
It's 8:30, and I'm just finishing my run.
Right.
Fire's gone.
Yeah. You have to be honest with yourself. Hard thing to do.
So I got on a
Yeah.
plane in Colorado and I had to fly home. I got to honestly tell you, that was the longest flight of my life.
Wow.
Because I said, okay, I'm flying home now. I owe the government 300,000. What the fuck am I going to do?
Mm.
So I got to figure this shit out in the next week or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
Yeah.
I mean, the man upstairs, you know what I mean, looked over me and said, hey, buddy, look here, I'm going to take you through this hard road, but I got your back. But you got to learn from your mistakes,
Right.
and which I did.
Yeah. Amazing. Wow. So now you're obviously a world-renowned trainer. You obviously didn't get enough of boxing. There was, I
Nah,
guess, some
it's,
sort of fire
boxing.
still there, for you to take your influence out, training fighters now. So take us to the mindset of like, all right, I'm done, I'm retired. Was there sort of like a reflectionary period of like, what am I gonna do at this point, or were you always kind of drawn to being a trainer?
You want to know the truth?
Yeah.
I started boxing January 17th,
Mm,
1976. I woke up January 18th, 1976. Said, I want to be a trainer.
really?
The
Wow.
day after I started boxing, I wanted to be a trainer because I watched the guy training us and he was teaching us. I'm like, he's teaching us. I said, but this motherfucker's teaching us wrong.
Mm. What was wrong? What was wrong about it?
It was all offense, no defense.
Mm.
He's teaching us all offense. I'm
Mhm.
like, what about when the guy returns fire?
Right.
What happens then?
What happens when
So,
you get punched in the face?
hello. So what I started doing was, as a kid, I used to go to the Brentwood Library
Mhm,
in my hometown, and I used to read boxing books every day. Every day, I should take out boxing books. I used to take out the same boxing book every other week,
mhm,
and then one day I ripped the picture out, right?
mhm,
Returned the book, came back, I took the book out. They said nothing,
mhm.
so I ripped two more pictures out. Took the book back. Nothing. I did this for about 2 months. Then I go back and I can't find the book. I'm like, fuck. So I'm walking out the library and the lady says, excuse me, young man, come here. I said, what? She goes, you looking for this book? I said, yeah. She goes, take it. I said, why? She goes, you ripped half the pictures out. She says, I wish you the best.
Oh.
She said, good luck to you.
Mhm,
She says, take the book. I won't say anything.
mm,
And I took the book and I went home. Then I hung all the pictures up in my wall, all the articles from the trainers.
mm.
And my mother came home one night. She was cleaning my room, and she said, "What the fuck? You stole all the book from the mag?" I said, "Ma, I didn't steal the book from the library. The lady gave it to me." You know, my mom took me to the library the next day.
Told you to return it.
No, I
Oh.
asked the lady, "Did you give my son this book?" It was too late to return
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I took all the pictures out. That was over my wall in my room. And the lady says, "No, I gave it to your son, and I wished him well in his career. I hope he's successful."
Oh, wow. And you are.
Thank you.
Yeah. Power to her.
I've always loved the thought of teaching someone and using the brain.
Yeah.
That's always been my thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say was kind of your biggest lesson from being in the ring, and what have you carried with you as a trainer?
That it's a lonely sport,
Mm.
and understand that when you're doing well,
Mhm.
everybody loves you.
Yeah.
When you're not, don't nobody love you.
Mhm.
And the crazy part is that about in boxing, there's no retirement fund.
Yeah.
I mean, so whatever you make in boxing and whatever you do in boxing, when you retire, that's it. That's all you got.
Mhm.
Saying so, if you don't have a plan, you should have luck.
Right.
Because all the people that say they're gonna help you when you're on top,
Mhm.
if they feel when you stop boxing that there's nothing they can gain from you or
Mhm.
gain from being around you,
Right.
and that's family included.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
mean, listen, let me tell you. I mean, listen, let me tell you. I'm gonna be. I'm just gonna keep it 100.
Please do.
I mean, when I retired with nothing.
Mm.
Everything was gone.
Mm.
I took care of my family, My siblings, I took care of everybody.
Right.
Everybody ate steak. I'm saying filet mignon. My phone rang 24 hours, 7 days a week. But when I retired and had nothing, my phone didn't ring at all.
Wow.
And everybody laughed at me. I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I said to myself, I got to figure this shit out.
Mm-hmm.
And God blessed me with the mental capacity to figure it out. And once I figured it out, and I got blessed again and started becoming successful as a trainer, and then take those phone calls. Hey, champ, how you doing? I said, yo, remember 2 years ago when you said you were going to call me back? Yeah, I'll call you back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and I got to honestly say, Don King gave me my first big break. I'm going to be 100%.
As a trainer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don King gave it to me, and he had faith in me. I got to say, Don King really did. And I thank him, you know, but I learned my lesson.
Right.
I mean, like people call, hey, champ, how you been? I'm like, I'm champ now. It took you 5 years to call me.
Yeah.
I said, what do you need? Well, I need tickets to the Antonio Tarver Roy Jones fight. I said, I'll send you the number to Ticketron because I ain't giving you shit.
Right. That's fair. Lessons learned, you know.
I mean, oh, baby, listen, let me tell you. Lesson learned is an understatement. I learned the hard way.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, because it's sad to say, and I hate to say it, but my family and siblings laughed at me more than anybody. And I fed all of them, took care of everybody. But when I fell off, they laughed at me,
Right.
which was okay. I didn't cry about it. I didn't squawk about it. I said to myself, buddy, you got to put on your big man underwear now and do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. That's where I thank God for my dad. May he rest in peace. You know, as a kid growing up, my dad never taught me how to ride a bike. My ABCs, my dad taught me how to survive in this world and be a man.
Yeah.
My dad was like, you do what you got to do to take care of your family, son. As long as you don't hurt nobody, don't kill nobody, don't steal from nobody, you figure it out, son.
Right.
But there's always a way. You figure it out. And I was blessed with that, and I figured it out until I got my break as a trainer. I figured it out. And, you know, to keep it 100, I took my championship rings and sold them.
Yeah.
I sold my rings. I had like 8 cars. I got rid of over all the cars. I kept 2 cars. No, I kept 1 car on my motorcycle and saved that money. And I said, this will hold me over until I get that break. And it did.
Wow. What was your big break as a trainer, would you say?
Don King gave me my first break.
Who was the fighter?
I trained a guy named James Page, who was welterweight champion at the time. You know, Don King gave me a job. He was paying me a salary. It was cool. But my first big break was when I trained a guy named James Page. He was WBA welterweight champion of the world.
Wow.
And then after that, I trained Johnny. God bless Johnny Tapia. I trained Johnny Tapia, and he scored a big win on Showtime. And then I got Arturo Gatti and Antonio Tarver.
Yeah.
And boom, after that, it was, you know.
Big fights. I know Sammy would talk about Johnny Tapia. He fought
Yes.
a world.
Johnny was Johnny was an amazing guy. God rest his soul. I mean, he was great. And I can honestly say that was the first big check I got. And when his wife gave me the check after the fight, I slept with the check. It was like 60 grand.
Yeah.
I put the check right next to me. I slept with it. But I said, I'm back where I need to be.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that's important. So what advice would you give to fighters that kind of maybe find themselves in that situation? I'm sure you've worked with fighters who have gone through the ranks of, prospect, contender, champion. What advice would you give to them of like surrounding yourself with the right people?
Prepare yourself for life after boxing. I've told a lot of fighters, and they looked at me, and I've had a couple fighters look at me and say, "Yo, I'm not gonna be like you." I said, "You say that now, but when you start making that money, it's a different ball game."
Right.
You get a young kid that's never made any money, and you give him $500,000.
Mm.
Boom.
Yeah.
You say you got to take 200 of that and give to the IRS. Is he gonna
Mm.
do it? No. He might send 100. He might send 50, but he's
Mhm.
not sending 200,000.
Mm. Yeah. First rule of advice: pay your taxes, huh?
Because the IRS will sit back and wait years,
Mm-hmm.
and then follow your career. And then when they see you not making that money anymore,
Right.
hello, sir, you owe us this.
Mm.
And then you can do it. They got you.
Wow. Yeah.
So I tell every fighter, prepare for life after boxing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're like, oh man, buddy, fuck that. I'm like, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you from experience. I'm not telling you what I heard. I'm telling you what I know and been through.
Right.
Now, where you go from there is up to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you from experience, man.
Yeah. And your experience isn't a unique one. There's plenty of fighters who, retire, a lot of fighters retire with nothing. And so, yeah, learning how to manage your career after the sport of boxing beyond the ring
And you know,
is,
I consider myself blessed
yeah.
because I get around a lot of fighters that's fighting in my era,
Mm-hmm.
before my era, that are real bitter.
Mm.
And they're like, buddy, man, these fucking guys making all this money. I'm like, yo, dog, check this out. What do you think the guys before us started?
Mm-hmm.
They opened the doors for us.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, Ali, they opened the doors for us to make the money.
Right.
Now, back in the 90s, if you made $1 million, you was shit, you was the man.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, but living in New York, you know,
Mm.
you make $1 million, 300,000 out of that's going to
Yeah. Tax man. Yeah.
right. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But everybody just sees the million.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see what you got to pay out.
Right.
They're gonna see the train expenses, you know, and then you pay your manager,
Right.
and your manager gets 30%. So your manager gets 30%, you pay Uncle Sam. That's over half right there.
Right.
Then you still got to pay the cut man.
Mm.
Then you still got training camp expenses.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So people don't see that.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, yo, man, how did he go through $1 million? You know, he didn't go through a million. He went through like 300, 400,000
Right.
because, but you're living like you're making $2 million.
Yeah.
That's
The
what
key
gets you.
right there. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's what gets you. So, you know, I mean, I try to tell these young guys, you know, hey man, let's be smart.
Right.
I'm not telling you not to live, but just be smart with it.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
What about advice regarding relationships?
As
But
far as
um, as like you said, you kind of went through your career when you're successful, everybody loves you. When you lose, nobody's calling you. So how do you kind of I don't know, educate your fighters in navigating family
I
relationships,
just tell them, you know,
partnerships?
I tell them just pick and choose and be smart, man.
Mhm.
You know, look at the ones who was there before, during, and when it seemed like you can ready to hit the after.
Mhm.
Let me see. Who was there before? Boom. What did they ask for? Each fight, if you're making more money, they asking for more and more favors. That's when you got to cut off.
Mm.
Because once you can't do nothing for them,
Mhm.
what they don't need you no more.
Yeah.
I mean, but
Mhm.
the ones that sit around and just chill, don't ask for nothing,
Mhm.
is happy with whatever you're giving them.
Mhm.
I'm saying, like, in all honesty, the person that I was around my career, I met him in 1988, was the only guy who never squawked about anything I gave him.
Mhm.
Never asked for more, never complained. He's a guy that stuck with me through it all
Mhm.
to this day. And he's not even a family man. I call him family,
Mhm.
but this man, no matter what I paid him, he never squawked.
Mhm.
But if I had problems with anybody, anything, if I pick up that phone, he was there in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And to this day in 2024, since 1988, if I call him right now, see your dog, I got some problems. He's right there.
Mm. Yeah. You got to find your ride or dies, huh?
That's the key. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's very few.
Mhm. Yeah. What would you say your just overall philosophy as well? But we'll take it back. I'm curious to know like your lifestyle as a trainer because you are all over the world, right? I mean, you're based in Florida, you're here in California training some fighters. I know you got fighters overseas. So how do you balance this crazy roster that you
I
have and you know?
what I do is this here. I like for fighters to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Some fighters are comfortable in their own environment, some aren't. So if you're comfortable where you're at, okay. But now I can honestly say this though. If I tell the fighters, look, I got 3 of you guys, and all you guys are comfortable in where you're at, we can't do that. Let's come to Florida. Then they come to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
No questions asked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then when it's that time and I got to go here, I go bam.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so
Right.
you just got to be able to have that type of relationship with the fighters.
Mm-hmm. So how does one get Buddy McGirt as their trainer?
Pick up
Is
the
it
phone.
yeah?
I'm listen.
Are you
I
sort of
I
like
like a lot
anyone
of
and
people tell me, buddy, you're too accessible. Listen, maybe I love the game too much, but I would love to see anybody get that opportunity
Mm-hmm.
because I remember one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was that kid at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Like today they got hand wraps.
Yeah.
My first hand wraps were ace bandages.
Mm. Wow.
Not hand wraps. My
Yeah.
first hand wraps were ace bandages.
Mm-hmm.
I used that from the age of 12 to the age of 16 was ace bandages
Mm-hmm.
because I couldn't afford hand wraps.
Mm.
So I was that guy at one time.
Yeah.
So if I got a guy with a lot of skill, but is arrogant and not willing to sacrifice,
Mm-hmm.
and a guy with very little skill but willing to do it all,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with him.
Mm.
Because he's the guy who's going to give you 100% when shit get tough.
Yeah. So you
And
you
he's
cut
once,
fighters off sometimes.
oh,
You
but
have to, yeah.
I cut him off at the gate.
Mm.
I mean, I get guys come to me and they say, well, buddy, look, you're going to train me, but I need you to do this, 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 and this. I said, okay, no problem. I said, but check this out. There's the door. Good luck. I'm not going to go through it with you.
Right.
Listen, my old school ways, it's hurt me in a way with a lot of fighters because I'm an old school guy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's certain things I'm going to accept.
Mm-hmm.
And I might bend a little bit, but there's certain things I'm like, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
No.
What are the
no.
hell knows?
The hell knows is this. Don't come in the gym and tell me what you want to do that day.
Mm.
Because if you're telling me what you want to do, then you don't need me.
Right.
Or say, who am I sparring? How many rounds am I sparring? What kind of gloves is he wearing? Bro, I'm not your man. I mean, I'm not your man.
Right.
Man, you got to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
If you got to ask me all those questions, that lets me know you don't trust me. So if you don't trust me, how much can I get out of you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not much.
So why waste your time and my time? If I'm not going to get that much out of you, why waste our time?
Right. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. What you say goes,
You know what I mean? So, we can agree,
Right.
but if you just say, well, buddy, I just want to do this, I'm like, well, then I'm not your man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oh, coach, what we going to do today? I'll be like, oh, we're going to do A, B, C, D. No problem.
Yeah.
We got it.
Yeah. Simple.
Yeah. I'm a believer. Anything understood don't have to be explained.
True. That's fair. So how do you just like your philosophy as a trainer, you have a plethora of fighters, different weight classes, different styles. Are you like this is my way of fighting,
No.
or are
no.
you very we're
You,
gonna
you,
make
le-
you
you learn, in the beginning, that was my attitude.
mm,
Not going to lie.
mm-hmm,
But as you go on, you got to see what works for the guy
mm-hmm,
and what don't work for him.
right,
And then when you see what works for him, you got to enhance that.
mm-hmm,
And then try to add a little bit to it
mm-hmm,
very slowly, one fight at a time.
mm-hmm,
But take what works for him and make it work for him to the point where he's so confident in it that he's willing to say, okay, let's add a little more to it.
mm. Yeah, that's
So
yeah,
it's a mind thing.
yeah, yeah. So we'll I loved your story. It was very insightful. I just felt
Thank you.
like, I want to get back into the ring and
Look out now. Look out, New Orleans.
fight
New
for
Orleans, look out.
It's Florida.
First like Florida. Florida, look out.
Not very many people would claim Florida, but I do.
Right.
um, but let me just ask you a couple questions about, the current state of boxing. We have some big fights coming up. And I'd love to hear your opinion on it, and then we'll do some
Do
rapid
we
fire.
really have to go there?
You, do you not want to?
No, no. I don't want to go there. I
Okay.
ain't gonna lie. I don't want to go there.
That's fair. That's fair. But we'll do let's play a little game, rapid fire questions.
Hey,
Are
go
you
ahead.
willing to do that at least?
Can I go, eh? Can I do that? If I
Let's
don't?
do that.
Okay.
They're fun questions.
Okay.
So, okay, this first one. If you could go back in time and train any historical figure, who would it be and why? It doesn't have to be boxer. Like what historical figure do you think would be a good person to train?
I can go back and train.
Yeah.
I would say Ray Robinson. And I say that just to be in camp with him.
Mm.
Just the man to me was the best to ever do it.
Mm.
Pound for pound, Ray Robinson. Anytime a man goes on a 70, 80 fight win streak,
Yeah,
can't top that.
that's fair. That's good. Okay, if you could have one superpower in the ring, what would it be and why?
Superpower, good
Yeah.
question. My superpower would be to have a guy who you see that can win the fight, but is letting it slip out of his hands. My superpower would be like, get in there and be like, wake up, you mamma jamma, and handle your business.
That's a good one. Um, if you weren't involved in boxing, what career do you think you would be
I'd be a truck
involved?
driver.
Really? Why?
I love trucks.
Yeah. And
I've always wanted to be a truck driver.
yeah.
Always. Since I was a kid, I've always loved trucks.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yes.
That's cool.
King of the road, baby.
Yeah.
Get out my way, I'm gonna run your ass over.
um, action-packed fight or strategic battle?
Strategic.
Why?
I love using this.
Yeah.
Always been my thing.
What has been, in your opinion, one of the most strategic fights in history? Strategic battles.
And Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns.
Ray Leonard,
Won.
Benitez.
Tommy Hearns won.
Mm.
But Ray had to go from the boxer. He had to go from the matador to the bull.
Mm.
Tommy Hearns turned boxer that night.
Mm.
It was out boxing Ray.
Mm. That's a good one. Yeah, I like that first fight. Yeah. Lastly, funniest mistake you've made as a trainer or fighter?
As a trainer, funniest mistake?
Yeah, funniest mistake. You trip or something getting into the ring. I don't know.
Oh, funniest mistake made. I was trying to stop a fight and I couldn't find a towel, so I threw the stool in the ring. I couldn't get the referee's attention, and I couldn't find a towel, so I took the stool and I threw the stool in the ring.
What fight was this?
This was a fight in New Jersey. I threw the stool in the ring.
That's funny. What about as a fighter?
As a fighter, good question. Funniest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. In one of my last fights, I got knocked down, and I go back to the corner, and I remember this after the fight. At the moment, I didn't remember. But the referee said, "Buddy, are you okay?" I said, "You tell me." He goes, "Where you at?" I said, "You tell me." But he thought I was joking, but I didn't know where the fuck I was at.
That's funny. That's funny.
And then I was sitting at the press conference after the fight, and they were like, "Yeah, buddy, since you retired," I'm like, "Retired? What the fuck you talking about?" I totally forgot. I had a concussion.
Oh wow. That I don't know if that's funny or concerning. Oh man. But thank you so much for
Thank you. Appreciate it.
just sharing your journey and us getting to know each other and your
Pleasure.
contributions you've made in the ring, out the ring. It's
I
really
appreciate it.
been
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks
So,
for having me.
yeah, Boxing Capital, Buddy McGirt.
Flow Rider, Great Night, Long Island, in the building. Strong Island in the building.
Peace.